Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are cracking open a can of something a little bit bigger than just cola.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, we're going deep into the world of Pepsi.
Okay.
A brand, I'm sure you think, but I think there's a lot more to the story than meets the eye.
I think you're right.
So what's fascinating to me is that Pepsi is often seen as this the sidekick to Coca-Cola, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they actually have this massive, sprawling empire that goes way beyond soda.
Yeah, you think about it and you've got like Gatorade and Frito-Lay and Quaker Oats.
Exactly.
These are all huge brands, but you don't necessarily think Pepsi when you see them on the shelf.
Right, and get this, they even owned at one point fast food giants like Pizza Hut and Taco Bell.
Wow.
Yeah, so buckle up because we're going to uncover how Pepsi, this supposed second fiddle, became this dominant force in American food and beverage culture.
Yeah, how did that happen?
Well, it all starts with cola itself, a drink with a really surprisingly medicinal past.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so, the original Coca-Cola actually used coca leaf extract.
Uh-huh.
Yes, that coca leaf.
Wow.
And cola nut for their caffeine.
Interesting.
And it was marketed as this health tonic.
Huh. As a health tonic.
Yeah, like a cure-all almost.
It's funny how things evolve with their time.
Right, like who would have thought that this drink that was supposed to be, good for you would become one of the most popular beverages in the world.
That's amazing.
And that is where Pepsi enters the scene.
Okay.
It was founded by this pharmacist who wanted a piece of Coca-Cola's success.
Mm-hmm.
And Pepsi was initially named after the digestive enzyme pepsin.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, the cola nut.
Right.
Now, you might have heard the myth that the name Pepsi came from a Korean person suggesting it in a naming contest.
I think I have heard that before, yeah.
That's completely false.
Oh, wow.
It's a reminder that, even these, harmless myths can sometimes perpetuate stereotypes and misinformation.
Absolutely.
And Pepsi's early marketing was all about standing out from the crowd.
Okay, how did they do that?
They offered twice the volume.
Oh, wow.
For the same price as Coca-Cola.
Smart.
Which really resonated during the Great Depression.
Yeah, especially back then.
You're struggling financially, and here comes Pepsi being twice the bang for your buck.
Right.
It was a brilliant strategy, and it really put them on the map.
That makes sense.
And it speaks to their understanding of consumer psychology.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just about the product. It was about, this perceived value and meeting the needs of a specific demographic.
For sure.
And that savvy business sense just continued as they expanded beyond just cola.
Okay, so where did they go from there?
They weren't content with just being like a competitor. They wanted to dominate the beverage market.
Bold.
Yeah. And a great example of this is their pioneering move into the diet drink market.
Okay.
They launched Diet Pepsi a full 18 years before Coca-Cola released Diet Coke.
18 years. Wow.
That's almost 2 decades ahead of the curve.
Seriously.
What did that tell you about their willingness to take risks and innovate?
I mean, they clearly saw a gap in the market and they went for it.
Yeah.
I mean, that shows that they could anticipate and adapt to changing consumer preferences.
Exactly. And they didn't stop there. They went on to acquire Mountain Dew.
Okay, the official drink of gamers.
Right, with its unique, hard-to-replicate citrusy flavor that's gained this cult following.
Yeah, they tapped into a niche market for sure.
And to cover even more ground, they launched their own version of Sprite called Slice.
Slice. Okay.
And even acquired Mug Root Beer.
They were building a beverage empire.
One acquisition at a time.
I love it. It's such a classic strategy. You see a successful product and you either mimic it or you buy the company behind it.
Exactly.
Pepsi was playing the long game here.
Absolutely.
They wanted to make sure they had a presence in every corner of the beverage market.
Absolutely. Speaking of empires, let's not forget about the American obsession with salty snacks and carbonated drinks.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic combo.
I mean, they go together like peanut butter and jelly, right?
Totally. It's woven into the fabric of American culture, and Pepsi really capitalized on that.
In a big way.
Big time, especially through their relationship with Frito-Lay.
Now, when you say relationship, you mean?
I mean a symbiotic one where, each one kind of boosts the other's success.
Oh, I see.
You grab a bag of salty chips and you get thirsty, right?
Yeah.
What's the perfect drink to quench that thirst?
A Pepsi.
Exactly. They feed off each other, driving sales for both brands.
So it's like a marketing dream team.
Pretty much. And it all started when they merged back in 1965.
Yeah.
I mean, it's they said, okay, let's combine the king of cola with the champion of chips and see what happens.
And what happened was massive success.
Massive, those iconic snacks, Cheetos, Doritos, Funyuns, Sun Chips.
Yeah.
They created this perfect salty complement to Pepsi's sweet and fizzy beverages.
Yeah. And it's so ingrained in our culture that it's hard to imagine one without the other.
For sure.
It's true. And it's not just the perfect pairing, but the sheer volume of those snacks.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the source mentioned that American snack bags are like packed to the brim, unlike some other countries where you might find more air than chips.
It's a cultural difference for sure.
It really speaks volumes about American appetites, wouldn't you say?
Totally. In the U.S., it's like this focus on abundance, get the most bang for your buck.
Yeah.
And that like overflowing bag of chips encourages you to consume more, which just fuels that thirst for a Pepsi even more.
It's brilliant.
It's clever for sure, even if it kind of plays on our desire for more.
Yeah, it definitely keeps people coming back for more. But their ambition didn't stop with snacks, and soda did it.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, what about breakfast?
Yeah, what about breakfast?
The acquisition of Quaker Oats in 2001.
Interesting.
On the surface, it might seem like an odd pairing, right?
Yeah, kind of.
But Pepsi had their eyes on a very specific prize.
What was that?
Gatorade.
Gatorade, the sports drink.
Exactly. While many people associate Quaker Oats with like oatmeal and breakfast cereals,
Right.
Pepsi saw the bigger picture. They recognized the potential of Gatorade.
Okay.
It had already transcended the world of sports.
To become a cultural phenomenon.
Exactly, especially among blue-collar workers who often preferred it over water.
It's interesting you mentioned that because the source highlighted how Gatorade's marketing really resonated with a workforce engaged in physically demanding jobs.
Yeah.
They positioned it as a superior source of hydration, emphasizing its electrolyte replenishing properties.
Sure, and it worked.
Totally.
It went from this niche sports drink to a staple for everyday Americans. You see it everywhere, gas stations, grocery stores, and those refrigerators packed with different flavors.
Yeah.
It just shows their strategy of diversifying to capture a wider audience.
It's like they said, okay, we've got the athletes covered, but what about everyone else who needs to stay hydrated?
Exactly. They saw an opportunity and they went for it.
And they applied that same approach to other acquisitions like Naked Juice.
Ah, yes, Naked Juice.
The brand that rode the wave of the smoothie craze.
Those brightly colored bottles promising a healthy and delicious way to get your fruits and veggies.
They were everywhere.
They were everywhere, and while the nutritional value of smoothies is debatable,
Right.
there's no denying that Pepsi capitalized on a popular trend, further expanding their portfolio and reaching those health-conscious consumers.
Absolutely.
And then there's Rockstar Energy Drinks, their venture into the ever-competitive energy drink market.
They were covering all their bases.
In a sense, yeah. It's a strategy of market saturation.
Right.
By having a stake in practically every beverage category, they minimize their risk and maximize their potential for profit. They wanted to be the go-to company for any and all beverage needs.
And to think it all started with a pharmacist trying to recreate a popular cola drink.
It really shows their business savvy and their ability to adapt and evolve with the times.
Absolutely. But what I find so fascinating is how they've woven themselves into the fabric of American culture.
Yeah.
I mean, their brands have become almost inseparable from our daily lives, from the snacks we grab to the drinks we guzzle down.
It's true. You see their products everywhere you go, and they often evoke this sense of nostalgia, a connection to childhood memories or familiar rituals. It's more than just selling products. It's about creating a sense of identity, a feeling of belonging.
Yeah. And that brings us to a particularly surprising chapter in Pepsi's history, one that reveals just how far their ambition reached.
Oh, really? Now we're getting to the good stuff.
Okay, so what's this surprising chapter you mentioned?
Well, what if I told you Pepsi used to own some of the biggest names in fast food?
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Like what, McDonald's, Burger King?
Not quite those giants, but think Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, even KFC.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, they were all part of the PepsiCo empire for a time.
That's a whole other level of market domination.
Right.
What was the thinking there? Did they just want to, control every aspect of what Americans were eating and drinking?
Well, it all started with their acquisition of Pizza Hut back in 1977,
Okay.
followed by Taco Bell in 1978. They clearly saw the potential of the fast food industry, which was experiencing explosive growth at the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's a pretty brilliant strategy when you think about it. You go out for pizza or tacos with friends and family, and what's the most likely drink choice?
A Pepsi.
A Pepsi, of course.
Exactly.
They were creating a closed loop of consumption, ensuring that their beverages were always top of mind.
Yeah, they understood the power of convenience and habit,
Right.
If you're already enjoying a meal at one of their restaurants, why not grab a Pepsi to go with it?
It's a seamless way to integrate their products into everyday life.
Exactly.
It's mind-boggling to think that grabbing a slice of pizza or a crunchy taco meant contributing to the PepsiCo empire.
It's crazy.
But they eventually spun off those fast food chains in 1997.
Yeah, they did. They formed an independent company called Yum Brands, which still operates those chains today.
Okay.
But, even though Pepsi no longer directly owns them, their influence can still be felt.
I guess those years of association really left a lasting mark on consumer habits. But as we've seen throughout this whole deep dive, Pepsi's story is much more than just a corporate history lesson. It's a reflection of American culture itself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, their marketing campaigns, those catchy jingles and slogans have become like ingrained in our collective memory.
Totally.
They've tapped into our desires for convenience, affordability, and even a sense of nostalgia,
Yeah.
creating brands that are like interwoven with our lives.
It's true. Think about all those celebrity endorsements and iconic commercials. They've shaped our perceptions of what's cool, what's refreshing, what's like quintessentially American. It's almost like they've bottled up a piece of American culture and distributed it worldwide.
That's a great way to put it. It's a powerful testament to the impact of branding and marketing.
Right.
They've managed to create a sense of identity around their products, a feeling of connection and belonging that goes beyond just the taste or the function of the drink.
So what can we take away from all this? I mean, we've uncovered a lot about Pepsi's history, their acquisitions, their marketing tactics, and their undeniable influence on American culture. But what does it all mean for us as consumers?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? This deep dive has raised some important points about consumer awareness and the power of corporate consolidation.
Mm-hmm.
When a single company holds such a vast portfolio of brands, it's worth considering the implications for competition innovation and even the fabric of our consumer culture.
Yeah, it's definitely something to ponder. I think this is where our deep dive gets really interesting. It's not just about absorbing information. It's about critically examining what we've learned and asking those tough questions.
Exactly. We've explored the fascinating history of Pepsi, their strategic acquisitions, their clever marketing tactics, and their undeniable influence on American culture. But the real takeaway here is to encourage you, our listeners, to be mindful of the choices you make as consumers.
Right?
Are you truly choosing products based on your individual preferences, or are you subtly influenced by the marketing machines of corporations like Pepsi?
It's a question worth asking yourself the next time you reach for a can of soda or a bag of chips. What factors are driving your choices? Are you aware of the forces at play behind those seemingly simple decisions?
It's definitely food for thought, and as for us, we'll continue to explore the hidden depths of the brands and companies that shape our world, always seeking those surprising connections and thought-provoking insights.
So until our next deep dive, stay curious, keep questioning, and always remember, there's more to every story than meets the eye.
I love that.
And sometimes the most surprising discoveries are hidden in plain sight in the familiar brands and products we encounter every day.
Well said.
So thanks for joining us on this fascinating journey into the heart of the Pepsi empire. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive. Until next time, happy exploring.
See ya.